In-depth report on the possibility of a Third World War. Introduction. In the 21st century, the intricate dynamics of international politics have brought the potential for a Third World War into sharp focus. The likelihood of such a conflict is not merely the result of random factors, but is deeply rooted in the intensifying competition among major powers, especially the United States, China, and Russia. Geopolitical tensions, economic instability, and the erosion of international norms are all contributing to an increasingly volatile global landscape. This report delves into the most significant factors that could trigger a Third World War, with a particular emphasis on the role of the upcoming U.S. presidential election. 1. The core driver: intensified great power competition. The most compelling reason for the possibility of a Third World War lies in the escalating rivalry between the United States, China, and Russia. This competition is fundamentally altering the global order, as these powers vie for dominance in military, economic, and ideological spheres. The U.S. efforts to curb China's rise, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region, have led to a significant military buildup, provoking a strong counter-response from China. Similarly, Russia's aggressive stance in Ukraine, aimed at preventing NATO's eastward expansion, threatens to spiral into a broader conflict that could easily draw in other nations, risking a global escalation. 2. Arms race and nuclear proliferation. The ongoing arms race, particularly the development and proliferation of nuclear weapons, is another critical factor. Countries are not only increasing their defense budgets, but also advancing their capabilities in ways that could have catastrophic consequences. The nuclear ambitions of countries like North Korea and Iran add another layer of complexity, as their potential to acquire nuclear weapons could further destabilize the existing power balance, prompting preemptive or retaliatory actions by major powers. 3. Weakening of international norms and institutions. The deterioration of international agreements, such as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT), coupled with the weakening influence of institutions like the United Nations, is reducing the effectiveness of conflict resolution mechanisms. This erosion of global norms increases the likelihood that nations will resort to unilateral military actions, believing that international consensus or mediation is no longer reliable. 4. Ideological conflicts and the rise of authoritarianism. The ideological divide between democracy and authoritarianism is another potent driver of global instability. The retreat of democratic governance in several regions has intensified calls for more aggressive responses from democratic nations, exacerbating tensions and increasing the risk of military confrontations. This ideological clash is not just a diplomatic issue, but one that could lead to widespread conflict. 5. Economic instability and the U.S. presidential election. Economic tensions, such as those seen in the U.S. China trade war, contribute to global instability and can act as a catalyst for military conflict. The upcoming U.S. presidential election adds another layer of uncertainty, as the outcome could significantly influence U.S. foreign policy. Depending on the election results, there could be a shift toward more aggressive or conciliatory approaches, both of which carry risks of miscalculation or escalation with rival powers. The election's outcome will also affect alliances and defense commitments, potentially reshaping the global strategic landscape in ways that could either mitigate or heighten the risk of a Third World War. Conclusion. The possibility of a Third World War is a grave concern, driven by intense competition among major powers, a dangerous arms race, weakening international norms, ideological clashes, and economic instability. The upcoming U.S. presidential election is a pivotal event that could either exacerbate or alleviate these tensions. In this context, it is crucial for the international community to engage in proactive diplomacy and strengthen cooperative frameworks to prevent the escalation of conflicts. The world stands at a crossroads, where the actions of a few key players could determine the future of global peace.